If you're 35 years old or younger, raise your hand. 4 people. So here's the thing. Y'all in trouble. Yesterday you had Al Green up here talking about we need a Secretary of Reconciliation, and then that's going to include what he said was reparations, which, by the way, wasn't reparations. Reparations is more than a check, but the very first thing it is a check. And come this year during the midterms and in 2028, if you don't have our check, you won't get no vote. No check, no vote. Yeah, I know that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what's happening. All of y'all in here, with all due respect, you're beautiful, but you're old. You're not talking to the youth. You don't know how to talk to the youth. You try to tell us what to do. We're not having it no more. So if you want our vote, you got to come with our paper. We're not scared of Trump. We're not scared of anybody. Biden is a racist. Trump is a racist. Kamala is a racist. And if you don't have our money, you don't get our vote. Yeah, none.
It's business. Oh, he about to go off on this dude. See, look at that look. If you ever lived in New York and a New York dude look at you like that, you might want to back up. This little dude here, he's trying to stop the dialogue from happening, but this conversation is going to happen whether you all like it or not. For too long, you've been denying that the black grassroots exists. You've been running over them. You called them bots. You called everybody everything but a child of God. Oh, you said they couldn't read. You said they hadn't learned enough. Roland Martin cussing people out left and right.
I'm gonna add on to what Fawcett Media is saying. This is why they like to call black people who consider themselves conservative all kind of names, Toms and whatever, as if we're so ignorant we don't understand what conservatism is. Conservatism is keeping the families together. Conservatism is going to church, mosque, or temple, or whatever religious discipline that you have to maintain a spiritual base in your home. All that falls under conservatism. And nowhere when you look up the word conservative or conservatism do you see the word Republican. They use the attack as far as calling you Toms or whatever they use to sway you back to the Democratic Party as a red herring, to make you feel some type of way, to make you embrace their so-called liberalism, which is the freedom to go against God, country, and any other rules that nature has provided or government has provided, or however you feel. Because you fail to realize that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and Tampon Tim Walz, they ran a campaign based on late-term termination of pregnancy, the transgendering of children, open borders, and a host of other nefarious things that they wanted to push down our throats. And if you rejected that, they had all type of names for you. You're a Republican. You don't want Kamala, because who all of a sudden turned black. They use it to blur the issue. And I want you to keep watching this video to the end and listen to the dialogue.
Right, no, you are on notice. This is about to be the new normal, right here. The poor little fella there in the white jacket, he's falling in line with his elders here that are not ready to have these conversations that we need to have.
Who are you? Oh, all right, yeah, so like I was saying, I'm going to land my plane right there, but the Democrats are no better than the Republicans. No check, no vote. Y'all take care. And somebody give my man a tissue. He need a tissue.
Thank you. First, let me clarify something. There are many...
You hear that? Somebody in the back hollering, leave, leave. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to have somebody up there that actually has something to say. They don't want any thought that goes against the status quo. How many times have y'all heard that in your households? How many times have you heard these arguments that are just so rigid and not moving? Yeah. There's some changes coming right now. And unfortunately, this is what's going to take is actually going there and taking the mic. Because these people have been playing for far too long. They've been playing. They haven't had no results. And so then somebody stands up here and they want to act like he he damn did something. You're going to hear a little bit about that because Al Sharpton is now saying, he gets up there in his response and says that this guy is an agent. Like, what part of the game is that? What kind of accusation is that? Especially with your history. When you actually are on documented paperwork, like, don't even get me started with Al Sharpton.
There are many young people that are part of the National Action Network. I happen to be one of them. I may look old.
Completely missed the point of that conversation that he had. Ignorant or
Let me get to
willfully
Al
obtuse. But Al Sharpton, that's is represent in a room full of people whose liberations have been running on for years. And I think what you're realizing now is that I'm not necessarily a spring chicken to be in the category, but the youth and people, you just go down the list, from Gen X on, are thinking they have something to say and they haven't been listened to. And for a long time, black people have been under the ether because they didn't have platforms that actually talk about it because speech was stifled. So this guy, Melrose Radio, walks into the National Action Network and pulls a move so simple, it's almost like genius. He's in a room full of people whose literal job is representing the future of black political life. And 4 people under 35 were in the room. Well, Al Sharpton has an excuse for why that was as well. Always got an excuse for something.
Let me say, in terms of our report for the year, and then we're going to go on with the program. Our young people are rehearsing, getting ready for this afternoon. This is our youth day. I heard somebody talk about young people. They tell them to just stay around. They're going to see 2 people.
Isn't that just convenient that all the youth happen to be not in the room? This lady's face over here says it all. So actually, he called them out for not having youth in the room, having 4 youth in the room, and this is Al Sharpton's response.
Afternoon, all of the youth in there, and I don't know, but you get provocateurs, because anybody that is talking to somebody younger than them holding the mic, then you know that they're paid agents. And if you're in the room...
Wait a minute, what? What? He's a paid agent. How did that even make any sense? What Al Sharpton just said.
Yeah, you better be able to prove that, Al. That's all I'm saying. I don't know Melrose all the way, but from what I'm seeing here, it doesn't seem like he would be an agent or a provocateur. So why would you put that on him? Why would you put that type of heat on him? A negative portrayal of him as some type of paid provocateur. That's insane. That's insane.
Then you know that they're paid agents. And if you're in the room, if you don't like me saying that, I'll say it again. Because you cannot
Say it again.
reparations without putting people in office that's going to pay them.
Wait a damn minute. So you're saying, you don't say, so all the people that we put in the office have flatly denied, including Kamala Harris, who's at this rally for you, that's at this conference for you. So is Kamala Harris going to pay reparations? Is that what we're saying? Well, we need her to say it full-throatedly. We've heard how she's kind of co-opted some of the talking points of people online, but let's hear her say that. If that's what you're trying to tell us, because it feels like that isn't the case.
The last point I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote, and it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter.
Now this makes me mad about this Indian lady. How she co-ops the civil rights movement, and she co-ops our history here in America for political purposes only. She didn't even identify as a black woman until she started running for president. Before then, she was identifying as what she is, Indian. But this only, look at how they really interact with our community and how they try to wrangle you back into the Democratic fold, regardless of how detrimental it is to our communities and to our lives. But they give you somebody else to hate or whatever, but it's like they have got to the point to where they use slavery, the civil rights movement, and all of that as a tool to play on your emotions so that you will identify with the Democratic Party and the liberal agenda, which is anti-God, anti-country, anti-man, anti-family, and the list goes on. But I'm going to let you hear for yourself.
The assassination of Dr. King, there are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours. Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional and to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
Because you cannot get reparations without putting people in office that's going to pay them. So talk that ignorance somewhere else.
Who's ignorant?
People talking about we have been for all of our existence fighting for reparations, made every candidate pledge to it. You cannot get reparations unless you elect folk that's going to pay you. You going to pay yourself?
And how far has that gotten us? We haven't gotten near dime messing with what you're talking about. And that's the problem. And that's the problem. If you see this, if you keep bumping your head and you keep figuring that you're not getting results, that we're not really gaining any type of results under your leadership and your ilk. So why would we then want to continue down this path just because you said so?
So you can't, in one hand, say, don't vote for everybody, they racist, but I want reparations. Well, who gonna pay you? So either you paid or you stupid or both. I don't see nobody standing up. I didn't see whoever it was, but yeah, okay. I was at college and the guy stood up talking about, I don't believe in all that nonviolent stuff. Y'all need to get out the way and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da. And all you punks, I said, hold it with the punk stuff. I said, because you got one punk out. You go to the second punk, you're going to get the best nonviolent whipping you ever got in your life.
And see, that's where the conversation always leads. Al, you're not our father. You can't whoop everybody. The fact that he called y'all punks, now you mad. That seems like more like provocateur behavior than anything. If you really think about it, what do you want to do? You want to cause a disturbance. You want to make a scene. So now this guy has called you a punk because I don't know who the guy was. He might have been somebody that was there as a rabble rouser. But this speech in this particular moment is a threat to someone like Melrose, right? You've already called him an agent. Now you're also threatening some type of violence, or that you don't play because you're not a punk. Nobody ever said you were a punk. But the fact of the matter is, you got to deal with the fact that you have not produced results and that you might need to let someone else take over the wheel. I'm sorry. I respect my elders. I have a great relationship with older people in general and in our community, and I care about them. But at a certain point, you've been doing this since the 1970s. Take your way out of it.
But I think that's all on Al. I think it's over with his rhetoric. But if you watch, they will promise you anything. They'll promise you reparations, tell you to be transactional, because they want your vote. They want your mind. They want you back on that plantation. They want your communities to be in chaos the way it was under Biden. So we can sit up and we can talk about these situations like it started with Trump. Our problem started long before Trump. They're just manifested and out in the open with somebody like Trump. But you see that the baby boomers, like Al Sharpton, they old, they played out, their rhetoric don't work. You know, they're leading you, like Martin Luther King said, into a burning house, promising you reparations. They will promise you anything at this point because the midterms are coming up. But they have totally lost the youth. So it's like the Bible. They're like the children of Israel wandering in the wilderness for 40 years until all the old ones have to just die out. Because they bring nothing to the table but the same old rhetoric. You know, people dissatisfied with the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. But you got to have some type of shackles on your mind that prohibits you from being able to think about forming your own party and a new party and doing for self. And I'm going to end on that note. This is Detroit's HPTV, sounding out of Detroit. Think about it. What prevents you from creating your own party? What prevents you from doing for self and uniting? You know? But see, if you study history, no people can unite once they have been morally corrupted. That's a tactic to morally corrupt an adversary. Ideological subversion. Once they get you to the point to where you stand on nothing, you have no discipline, no routines, you don't think military-minded, tactical, strategic, you just always on some emotional tirade, you'll never stick together. You'll never have no unity, so you'll always be having these type of subjects. Who's the best master? Who's the best king? Who's the best president? Who's the best leader? Instead of doing something for yourself. Sign out Detroit. This is Detroit HPTV. Keep your head on the swivel. Peace.